Okay, so hopefully you've done the drill. And today what we're going to be able to do is to write and solve proportions in order to calculate the amount of taxes due based on your tax rate and determine the net and gross pay and the taxes paid given specific information. So what we're going to look at is first, what is gross pay? Well, gross pay is your earned wages before any payroll deduction. So when you get hired for a job and they tell you that you're going to be earning $13 an hour, to find your gross pay, you just take 13 times the number of hours that you worked. So if you're getting $13 an hour and you work for 10 hours, you're going to get $130. Then what they do is they take deductions out. So they'll take out taxes, they'll take out FICA, they'll take out health insurance, they'll take out all kinds of things from your payroll, and then what you get left is your net pay, and that's what you actually take home. So your tax rate is determined based on your income. So your tax rate is the more you make, the more you pay in taxes. So a student, such as yourself, who may be getting their first job, working at a fast food restaurant or working at a gas station or wherever it is, or a grocery store or wherever you're working, you probably earn minimum wage, and you probably will get everything that you pay in taxes back because they don't give you a high tax bracket. Whereas Ms. Evans, Mr. Rankin, and myself, we are earning a higher percentage. We're salaried employees. We have degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, some even more than that. And we're going to pay a higher tax bracket than people earning minimum wage because we make more money. So they come after the higher rate first. So a ratio or percentage at which a business or a person is taxed is your tax rate. And sometimes you'll hear these referred to as tax brackets. And you can find your tax bracket at irs.gov, and they'll tell you based on your income what your tax bracket would be. Okay? Your net pay is your gross pay minus any deductions. So remember, if you're working at $13 an hour for 10 hours, they're going to pay you $130, but then they're going to take out your taxes. So if you're making $130, maybe you're having a 10% tax bracket. So they would take out 10% of your wages to pay to the government as your right to work tax. So that's what net pay is. Your net pay is your gross pay minus any deductions. So what we're going to be doing today is, as the objective said, we're going to be writing some proportions using our tax rate, using our net pay, and using our gross pay. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out our taxes, and our taxes are deducted from our gross pay. Our gross pay is our whole pay. That's before they take any deductions out. And our taxes are a percentage of that pay. So we're going to take that percent out of 100 because that's what percents are out of. So this is going to be the formula that we're going to be using multiple times today. So first formula. Here's our first problem. Markin earned $250 gross pay on his first paycheck. He noticed that $75 was withheld for taxes. Calculate his tax rate. Okay, so we made these numbers up. These aren't actual tax rate problems. So person who earns $250, this might not be their tax rate, but we're still going to set it up the same way. So our problem is that we do taxes divided by gross pay equals the tax rate divided by 100. So what do we know first? Well, we know that he withheld $75 in taxes. So $75 goes where the taxes are. His gross pay was $250. So put that in. And we're looking for his tax rate. So that's our X. So now we're going to do our butterfly method. Cross multiply. 250X equals 75 times 100. Remember, we got that by cross multiplying. 250X equals 75 times 100. And then we do like Cameron says, 75 times 100 is 7,500. And then we divide by 250 because that's the number with the X. And so that tells us that his tax rate was 30. So Markin's tax rate was 30%. So I want you to make sure you have this example copied down, and I want you to try this problem. So pause the video, do your substitutions, cross multiply, do like Cam, good job. So this is how we would find our tax rate. So we used this strategy when we're trying to find the tax rate. Now Maggie knows her tax rate is 37%. If she paid $43 in taxes, what was her gross pay? So we're still going to set up the same proportion. Do we know what our taxes were? Yeah, our taxes were $43. Do we know what her gross pay was? No. We know her tax rate was 37. And then we cross multiply. So we have 37x equals 43 times 100. We do our Cameron where we multiply 43 times 100. And then we divide by what's with x. So we're rounding. We want dollars. Dollars means we have two decimal places. So we have $116.22. And this is when we were trying to find her gross pay. So you pause the video and try the next one. And then we're still going to cross multiply. And we multiply these two together. And we divide by 28 because that's what's with the x. And our gross pay, remember that's money, so dollars and cents, 28, and then we look at the 5 there, tells us we're going to bump that up. So our gross pay was $514.29. So far we have found our gross pay, and we have found our tax rate. So now what we're going to do is we are going to calculate our taxes. So Kareem knows his tax rate's 37%. If his gross pay was $1,200, what should he pay in taxes? Well, we start with the same proportion. So we have our taxes over gross pay equals the tax rate out of 100. His gross pay was $1,200. His tax rate was 37%, and we cross multiply. So we have 100x equals 1,200 times 37. And we divide. And so that means Kareem would have to pay $444 in taxes. And again, this is how we would find what we would pay in taxes. Remember, we cross-multiplied to the butterfly method. And then finally, we're looking for our net pay. So if Alex's gross pay was $250 and he paid $60 in taxes, what's his net pay? If you go back and remember from our definitions, our net pay is our gross pay minus any deductions. So $60 is taxes, that's a deduction. So our gross pay was $250. He paid $60 in deductions. So that means that Alex had a net pay of $190. So if your gross pay was what, $60, and you paid $21.60 in taxes, what's your net? So your net pay would be $138.40. Okay, now listen to what your substitute or what your teacher has to tell you to complete the practice questions.